All right, what's up? Welcome, Jeff, and welcome everybody else, all 10 million of you, to the Upgrade Pls podcast. This is episode 2, and Upgrade Pls is a gamer and PC hardware-focused podcast where we talk about gaming, and we talk about how different PC hardware can change your gaming experience. So it's going to be fun. I'm the host, Phil. I'm here with my co-host, Jeff, and we have some exciting news and a fun discussion.
Yeah.
Howdy, Jeff.
Sorry if you see me looking away occasionally. I'm taking stock of the many beautiful announcements that we're getting today.
Jeff is literally watching the Game Awards right now, but there's some very, very interesting stuff that he would like to announce to anybody watching this podcast.
But let's move forward with the primary topic.
Well, I mean, tell us at least about, one of what's your favorite game so far that's been released at Game Awards? Or it's not released, right? It's they're just
they're
right?
They're just announcing, yeah. Dang. Well, here, I'll snag one that I think will be exciting for you too, because we can play it next week if we want to.
All right. Although Paragon did just come out finally, and I have been waiting a long time to play that game, and I plan to play that game a lot. Although I find it interesting that the Steam reviews are mixed.
Oh man, I don't remember the name of this game.
that many trailers have passed on.
I don't know. Here we go. Yeah, I found it.
Are you going to share?
I'm going to send it to you because I am bad at using all of this.
All right.
In an efficient manner.
Send it.
But this guy. This is a new multiplayer game.
Okay. You send it in. Where'd you send it?
I just Discorded you. I guess I probably could have sent it in Riverside.
Well, that's okay. I just don't have a message. That's cool.
I sent it to you in Riverside now.
Okay, so checking. Here we go. Wayfinder, huh?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna put it in our window here, where I can share it into Riverside. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's see. Share. Chrome tab. Let's do window. Wayfinder world premiere. All right. Riverside is killing it with the sharing. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, I love it. It's beautiful. Actual recording is higher quality. Don't worry.
All right. Look, it's the second episode of the podcast. All right. We're doing our best out here.
It's true.
I'm going to switch to. Looks like Riverside only supports one browser at a time, so I'm going to switch to Chrome and have this in here. And then I can share a specific Chrome tab, and I believe it might work. Heyo. Okay. You ready to watch this? It's in theater mode. I hope the audio goes through, but let's see.
World premiere, here we go. Announce with the world premiere, here we go. Thanks.
All right, what am I looking at here, Jeff?
Well, if you look at it, you'll see.
Looks like Warcraft so far.
A little bit, yeah.
Wait, is this Blizzard?
This is I'm pretty sure this is the ex-Blizzard Games studio, if I recall
Dreamhaven?
correctly.
We choose
Dreamhaven?
We face the danger. We control the chaos. To reconnect our broken world.
All right.
We've all walked many paths.
Sharpened many blades. played a few tricks. Crushed a few skulls.
That's a cross between Junker Queen and Zarya, I feel.
Yeah.
But now, we fight as one. We are Wayfinders.
Also, kind of feels like Godfall?
Yeah, it looked like Godfall and Dauntless and like a little bit of Monster Hunter. But also like you shoot guns. I don't know. It seems like a good time. But we can play it next week. I love games that I can play.
Sick. So, we got some feedback here that we can barely hear, Jeff.
That's a classic.
You bump your gain a little bit?
Yeah, let me...
Oh, nice. A Fall Guys ad. I don't know how to bump you up in... Well, I can bump you up in... Here, talk to me, Jeff. Jeff, say words.
Hello, hello, hello. It is I.
Go again.
Hey, it's me.
All right, you're louder now.
Squire.
You aren't. You'll be normal volume in the podcast recording, but you're
Perfect.
not as loud in Twitch right now. But thanks for the feedback, McFly. So that looks like a pretty fun game, honestly. The Game Awards. What is the Game Awards? 687,000 subscribers, so it's something I should probably know about, but I don't.
Oh, it's basically just like... So, COVID happened. E3 stopped happening, and people were like, yo, I would like to watch things and trailers. And then the Jeff Keighley guy, crazy, whatever he does, I don't know, he does game things all the time. And he was like, hey, let's do these awards as if we're doing the Oscars, like a bunch of jabronis. And here we are. So now I get to listen to these weird skits that they do sometimes, and in between they show us really cool trailers.
All right. Sounds cool. Sounds cool.
But yeah.
I mean, at least there's something in it for you, I feel. So it looks fun. Awesome. Is there anything else that Upgrade Pls listeners should be keeping an eye out for, including me?
Game-wise?
I rely on you for this, to be honest.
Game-wise? I mean, yeah, there's been a lot. But
all right.
I don't know. The new Dune game looks crazy.
That's the one. You told me about that. Why are we watching that, bro?
Or Forspoken
What's
looks
the name
really,
of it?
really good. Dune Awakening. Just
Dune
looks decadent.
Awakening trailer. Is it the pre-alpha teaser trailer? The Game Awards 2022?
That's the one.
Okay. Let's go ahead and watch that one. Chrome tab. Dune Awakening. Here we go.
All kinds of gifts.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
Claire de Lune.
If we're all-
Beautiful.
Etsy has it. I have a dream. It starts in the desert. You cling to life. You find others. Friends. You wander the dry, dirty
What I'm wondering is what
streets of
genre of game
civilization.
this is, but don't tell me.
In the ancient halls of the testing stations,
You'll be
you
surprised.
find answers. You seek the secrets of the ever-shifting sands.
If this is actual gameplay graphics, it looks amazing.
It's in engine, so I would say it's approximate-ish, but
You do all of these things in my dreams.
Okay.
Silver. I am terrified of what happens when you awaken.
That was the most movie trailer-esque game teaser I've ever seen. Open world survival MMO. No wonder you're stoked about this.
bro, it's gonna be cool. Did you see the Thopters? Like imagine,
Yeah, that was sick.
Imagine you,
That was sick.
me,
I'll
Marty,
give it to you.
Chris, Matt, Flux, all of us, and a Thopter, and then a Sandworm comes out.
That'd be dope. It's starting to feel like the game should have been made like Monster Hunter, and Sandworm should be the target. Missed opportunity, but that's all right. Well, dope. My one announcement is that Paragon is out. I'm stoked about that. Third-person MMO. Also, Jeff, Crisp doesn't work in Riverside. So
Crisp doesn't work in Riverside.
All
So you
that,
guys
all
hear
the tap,
everything?
tapping is coming.
Good, good. I
But,
gotta jump down all these trailers, man.
Yeah, do your thing. But let's move on.
But yeah,
Let's
let's
move
hit it.
on to
Let's
the
hit
topic.
it. Let's hit the
of our.
content.
Yes, that's what I like to hear. So,
Because we can content until Yoshi P comes out, and then I gotta give him my full attention,
the FF16. Hey, when that happens, send me the live stream link,
Oh, bro. Let
and
me
we'll
explain
watch
to
it on podcast.
This man is carrying Square Enix single-handedly. Pretty much all of their revenue comes from things that he is producing.
Imagine if he were to quit.
Yeah, dude, it would be crazy. People would lose their minds. He leaves to make his own studio. Incredible.
Jeez, man. The end of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, dude.
But seriously, drop that link in the Riverside chat, and then I'll be ready to click it when we are
Let me grab it.
when it comes out, because I talked a ton about hardware last time, but we want to have a healthy balance of gaming and hardware and the interplay between the two on our podcast.
I don't know that I would call this a healthy balance. This is just an unfortunate coincidence that has fallen on the same day.
I mean, it's beautiful. We didn't have a podcast last week because Jeff was sick. We didn't have a podcast yesterday because Jeff was busy. And then
all right.
I didn't want to have the podcast the week prior to that. And so, we're glad to be back, though. So, okay. Our topic today, 12 minutes in, go us, but you know what? I prefer the conversational podcast anyways, is to buy versus build, right? So what do I mean by buy versus build? We're talking about computers, right? Gaming PCs. Should you buy one? Should you walk into Best Buy, pick up one that looks cool? Or should you learn how to build your own, or have somebody build it for you, right? What does that look like, and why? What are the pros and cons? Yes. I mean, in theory, when you go to Best Buy, you are outsourcing to Best Buy, right?
That's true.
To whatever builder sent that computer to Best Buy, right? So theoretically, you're outsourcing all the time if you're not building it yourself.
I would imagine there are better services to actually do that than buying it through Best Buy, probably either way, though.
Yes, and that's what we should talk about. So I've come up with a list of pros and cons. So a pros and cons for pre-builts and pros and cons for building your own, right? So wanted to start with the cons of pre-builts because, it may seem like there's a lot of pros to pre-builts, but I think that the cons are very, very heavy, right? So let's think about this. So if you go to Best Buy and you buy yourself a pre-built PC, and you don't know much about what goes into a gaming computer, what makes a gaming computer run well or fast, you
or even just
have
a computer generally. What makes a computer generally run fast?
I mean, that's a really good point, right? Oftentimes, the faster a computer is, the better it is at the majority of tasks generally, right?
Yeah.
So, a couple things, right? With the pre-built, you have unknown component quality. So, you literally don't know. Did they use the worst possible thing for, a given component? Did they use, the slowest possible hard drive? Did they use... in the past, actually, pre-builts were totally plagued with power supply issues.
Interesting.
And so, there was this time, a couple of years, where people would buy computers and they'd have power supply issues. And power supply problems can fry other components of your PC, right? That's where they were cutting costs, and it was a really bad look. Ironically, now you're very likely to get a high-end power supply in a pre-built. They just do not want anything to do with that anymore.
I do. This probably has nothing to do with it, maybe, but one time I had this hand-me-down Alienware that I'd gotten from Leo, and I took it to Brazil. We were in Ubatuba, and I plugged it in.
Man.
And
man.
It sparked from the outlet to my computer and just fried it.
Bro.
So,
I mean, that sounds like the power supply didn't support 240 volts. That's also sad because you were probably expecting to have a better time than you did there.
Yeah. And, I kayaked instead, I guess.
You were forced to go outside and touch grass.
Imagine.
That's fortunate. So, yeah. One of the cons is unknown component quality. There used to be power supply issues. It's not as bad now. But that doesn't mean that you won't get an issue like slow RAM or a single stick of RAM, right? Forcing it to be single channel instead of dual channel. And, you're looking at the spec sheet and it's like, hey, I have 16 gigs of RAM. But if it's one stick, your FPS just went down, right? Unknown build quality. There are some hilarious videos out there of computers where they just literally did not know what they were doing when they put it together. And people paid thousands of dollars for that, right? So, kind of sad. I'll tell you one story I have actually witnessed myself, right? There was a brand at Walmart called Overpowered PCs. So they released their own brand. Bro, they were mercilessly roasted by the tech industry. I went to Walmart one time. I took a look inside of one and realized immediately that the intake fan in the front, right? Generally, you have your PC case, right? Air comes in the front, and it's exhausted out the top and the back, right?
Yeah.
The computer, the fan in the front was reversed, so it was exhausting out the front and exhausting out the top. And I was like, nice. Two fans completely canceling each other out. So there's zero airflow now. Cool. But I saw that with my own eyes in Walmart, and I was like, okay, nice, beautiful. So unknown build quality,
It's a bunch of engineers,
can definitely be super sketchy. So, and another con I've got written here is that you get what you pay for is unclear.
I'm thinking about what the thermal paste situation in those is like.
Oh my gosh, you can't even see the thermal paste, so it can be bad. It can be overflowing, or it can be non-existent. The film on the cooler could still be between the cooler and the CPU, and you wouldn't even notice your CPU at 100 degrees Celsius. So yeah, nice. It's a bummer. It can be a bummer. But the idea also that you get what you pay for gets really unclear, right? So today I could log on to Best Buy and find a holiday sale on a pre-built from a company that is not well known for quality, right? So like a Dell or an HP Omen or something like that, or a Lenovo, whatever. And you look at this computer and it's like, oh, it has a Ryzen 7 5800X and RTX 3060 Ti, but it's only $799.
Yeah.
So like, they throw those specs in there, but
you gotta what's the catch
is what you start to think, right? So it's like, and the answer to that is there can be big catches. Gamers Nexus did a video recently about a Dell pre-built, and the conclusion, right? It was some mid-range Dell. It had a Ryzen 7, a 3060, or something like that. The conclusion was that it was 30% slower than equivalent computers with those specifications because of Dell's bloatware.
I love
30% less frames per second in games.
Just because of that's so like basically what the Lenovo thing used to be for a little bit. Where I remember when I bought my Lenovo, they tried to install like a what was it? It was like a Lenovo launcher with like a bunch of other random garbage that was literally it was all horrifically irrelevant, but like the help center for Lenovo was stuck in there.
Yep.
Like they trapped all of this garbage into it that you just had to essentially install a factory made virus onto your computer.
I know. Exactly. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the help center being in there, and there's nothing wrong with like them wanting to include everything in a single tool. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is they build it in such a way, like extremely unoptimized, tons of overhead, and then when you fire up the game, you can't play very well. Like it's bad. Like bloatware can totally ravage your game performance, and it happens. It's out there, right?
Yeah.
But let's flip over to the pros because I really kind of hammered in the cons there. So, pre-built pros,
Sweet, as one does.
yeah, exactly. Probably the most powerful pre-built pro is warranty, right?
Interesting.
The whole computer has a warranty. If something's wrong with it, you can send it back in, and they'll diagnose it, figure it out, right? Supposedly. Obviously, you don't need to build anything,
etc.
Yeah. So, like, if you build your own computer, right, each individual part has its own warranty. You have to figure out what's wrong and warranty that part. In the pre-built world, they're like, here's the computer, 2 years warranty, right, or 1 year warranty or whatever. So, although there are some interesting companies out there that have a lifetime warranties on their pre-built PCs, which is I find very interesting, but I also find that to be not as useful as it sounds because soon your PC's obsolete and they're not going to put new hardware in it, right? So
the lifetime of your PC is like at the most 6 years, probably.
Yeah, and that's if you build a very powerful machine from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, like, how long have you had your PC? 3 years now, going on, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. And
and I would say you're definitely beginning to experience the pains of your PC not being fast enough.
I am teetering on the line of being just underperforming. So.
Which is frustrating, I'm sure, right? So
I can still do. I don't know. I don't feel like I've hit any huge limitations. But newer games, I'm lowering settings. Like it's very clear that the industry is moving in a direction that I currently don't have the strength to follow.
Yeah, I need some Emperor's New Groove quotes here, McFly, if you wouldn't mind. We're going in a different direction. We're not. I can't even remember, but. So yeah, exactly right. So, and another pro from pre-builts is it's faster for you to start gaming. Right, you get the computer built and you're gaming. There's no effort there. So, definitely some pros to buying a pre-built. If you knew you were buying a good pre-built, it would be a good thing, right? So that's on one side the buy, right? We have a lot of cons, but also some very strong pros.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think to a gamer who is primarily concerned with playing video games, who's not that interested in building their own computer or isn't interested in hardware, frankly, pre-builts are very appealing.
I feel like I don't know, it's the same type of person that like typically leans towards consoles. It's like somebody that doesn't necessarily like works out of the house a lot, someone that is like, you're not gaming all the time. You want to be able to just like pick up and go, you don't want to deal with a lot of the hassle. And so I think that's the big appeal for it.
Or, frankly, you think it's very complex to build a computer and you're uninterested in learning.
It's also scary, yeah. I mean, anytime I'm doing anything, I'm like, Phil, am I taking out these RAM sticks correctly? Phil, am I?
Yeah. So. Hey, I got you. Don't worry about it. But, I think that there's a strong market for pre-builds, which is why I think they do so well, right?
Yeah.
So, but moving over to the build portion, right, this is kind of like, I need to figure out a way of estimating how many computers I built. I think it's over 150 now. Maybe even more.
150, bro? I mean, well, yeah.
I'm building them faster and faster these days. So
your basement is like a tiny warehouse, I feel sometimes. It's pretty cool, but
it's definitely turning into a warehouse. Especially as we've started having customers and we're holding the parts, right? So
it's like your own personal micro center kiosk.
I can see 50 boxes of random assorted computer components from where I'm sitting right now.
Decadent, honestly. Congratulations.
Eventually, when I don't have an unfinished basement, I would like to have that be my backdrop, like some dope PC boxes and components, right? That'd be dope.
Could be pretty rad.
All the legit tech tubers do that. Yeah. But anyways, going to the building, right?
You're legit.
Let's start with
in my heart, you're legit.
Thanks. Hey, that means a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Truly means a lot.
Yeah. What can I say?
So, build your own cons. Like, what's bad about building your own computer? Well, number one, you have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, you could royally bungle it and lose thousands of dollars.
However, right, I think you've had some experience upgrading your own computer, right? It probably turned out to be a little bit less crazy than you expected.
I would say upgrading is way less intimidating than like the ground up build, I think.
That's a good point. I agree with that.
But yeah, I think that if you can get over that first hurdle of just like, if you can figure out how to put together, then yeah, you're set. Like you upgrading it, changing anything, like it is very much a give a man a fish, teach a man a fish type of situation.
Right. I agree with that. I learned a long time ago, and even now I still make some mistakes that are painful, right? So I've written here that you will likely be very nervous or frustrated with certain aspects if you bite off more than you can chew.
Absolutely.
Literally something as simple as putting RAM in the motherboard can be really, really difficult because especially your first time, right? Your first time, even the first 3 or 4 times, you're like, I have to press really hard.
Yeah.
How can this be how hard I need to press right now?
The strength you need to apply is very unsettling, especially when you're like looking at the motherboard and like really conceptualizing,
it's flexing downward, and you're like, okay,
how brittle this piece of metal might be. That's like integral to your entire computer.
Hey, it's formative. It's a formative rite of passage for anybody who's getting into PC building. So, I've also written that new builders can make mistakes that don't necessarily make the computer not work, but can seriously hamper performance. Right? So here's an example. One time, somebody brought me a computer that they had built. And as I worked on the computer, I realized they had an SSD and a hard drive. They had installed Windows on the platter hard drive and not the SSD. So, the computer worked, right? They were able to game. They had probably a little bit of a distorted perception of how fast computers should be, because in their head, they're like, hey, I have an SSD and an HDD. So, this should be super fast. And it definitely wasn't super fast because
launching Chrome.
Hard drive, so.
See you in 4 minutes.
But, we're talking about, a long time. Years of being set up with that machine. So it's kind of nuts, actually. Another thing is I recently came across somebody that I repaired a computer for them, and they had a 280 hertz monitor that they had been gaming on for over a year at 60 hertz. It's just understanding these things can make your experience so much better. I don't know. It's just same type of thing, right? If you don't know what you don't know, you can just totally miss out, right? And that's kind of what that point is about.
Even this, and so many of my experiences are console based, so I am sorry, Phil, because I know that it hurts, it wounds you. But
it's okay.
What am I looking at here? This isn't Final Fantasy. We're okay. Sorry.
I need to put one of those collars on Jeff. It's like squirrel.
Just a little buzz. But so Destiny, when we first started playing, me and my friends, it was on PS4, obviously. Destiny 2, we were going, obviously capped at 30 FPS. We never knew, blind. I got a PC, I started playing, I was like, guys, this is insane. This is so different. The PS5 comes out. Destiny releases their PS5 update, which finally gives the console player, the wee little console player, the 60 FPS experience. Bro, when I tell you the text that I was getting from Chance and from my friend Keaton, they were like, bro, what the hell is going on? How long have you been playing things like this? I was like, dude, I've been literally constantly trying to explain to these people what that even because you can't explain it really. You can't. What are you telling people? You're seeing more pictures at once.
I guess it's a good question. But the smoothness is shocking the first time,
dude. Yeah, when it hits those 30 frames, it's a crazy difference. And so when you're getting those performance kicks and stuff, if you're not those are tangible experiences that you want to have, and yeah, you can royally botch that and not be able to do those things if you
Absolutely. That's a good story, honestly. I think it illustrates the point nicely, right? Moving on to the next point, you will need to troubleshoot and warranty. So if something goes wrong, you're going to be the one who has to run memtest or something to check the RAM, right? Or run a CPU benchmark and monitor the temperatures to figure out that your thermal paste is not applied. So, that can be very daunting, I think, for a new user. If you make a mistake like that and then you're like, well, now I have to figure out what the mistake is. I don't even really understand how computers work that well, right?
No. I mean, if I didn't have you, me being as cataclysmically lazy as I am, like if anything ever went wrong that I needed to warranty, I would be like, okay, I'll just wait to buy a new version of this, I guess, in a couple months and not have a computer.
Yeah, that's nuts to me, but understandable. Totally understandable. So the next point here is that I've written is you can actually get totally shafted by the manufacturer. So I have a very clear example of this. A mutual friend of ours was having crashing in a game, Monster Hunter, and I finally convinced him to bring me his computer. I took a look at what was going on, and this is extremely niche, right? But if it happened to somebody I knew, it probably happened to a lot of people. There was a period of time where, AMD released their Ryzen series of CPUs, right? So they had the Ryzen 1000 series, right? Marchster, for example, is running a Ryzen 1600. Then they did the 2000 series, then the 3000 series. They kind of skipped the 4000 and went to 5000.
We love it.
And 7000 is coming out now. So for a long time, the motherboard you used, even if it was a 1000 series motherboard, was compatible with 2000, 3000, and eventually even 5000 series. But what happened is they said that 5000 wasn't going to be compatible, and people freaked out, right? People freaked out. They're like, you promised support through this year. So then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, we're going to support 5000 series on all these boards. But what happened is some of the manufacturers, right, in this case MSI, they have these BIOS chips on their motherboards that they need to put the code on to support certain generations of CPUs. So they hit a wall. They didn't have enough storage on the motherboard to support the newest generation. So what did they do? They created a super stripped down BIOS, no images, no nothing, just text, so that they could fit all of the generations of CPUs into the BIOS chips. And our friend, I discovered, he had a second generation chip, 2700X, okay? But he had a BIOS version on his motherboard that had been updated to that ultra simplified version for 5000 series. And it worked technically with his series. But when I backdated it to the old BIOS that did not support the newest generation of CPUs, it began working way faster. And it's like, okay, how are you going to know about something like that? You know?
I'm laughing because I'm struggling to keep up with your explanation right now.
So basically, the motherboard was updated for compatibility with the newest stuff.
But the chip
the
is
limitations had prevented them from making that very comprehensive because they needed to fit more data on that tiny chip.
Yeah,
And they ended up releasing an entire new lineup of motherboards that were the same names but had the word Max, where they doubled the capacity of that chip.
What a waste.
Our contact did not have that motherboard and was having issues gaming. When we rolled back that BIOS, he stopped having crashes completely. Like, computer was like brand new. Like,
That's
it was
crazy.
incredible. But also a thing that, like, I only knew because I'm always watching YouTube videos about AMD hardware. So, that kind of thing can happen to you.
Cool
You can
hobby.
get totally shafted. Yeah, I know, right? You can get totally shafted by what's going on in that world without, and you won't even know.
You can't even conceptualize what's happening. Like, I can't even, why would I ever even consider that might be a problem? Why would I ever in my mind be like, oh, the manufacturer here probably boned me?
Yeah. Yep. And that's, when I realized the problem, I was like, wow.
Phil, I'm very sorry. It's time.
Is it time?
It's time.
It's time. Send me the link.
I already did.
All right. Here we go. We'll interrupt this broadcast to show you the Game Awards. Final Fantasy
This guy is
16.
Honor to be here to present you with tonight's final world premiere. To all our fans, thank you. Us. I hope you enjoy our latest trailer, Revenge.
Okay, Final Fantasy 16. Is this a new MMO?
No, this is their new flagship.
Take
New
Joshua and
RPG.
get to sleep.
I'm not going without you.
I'm going to hold the enemy here while you make your escape.
Turn on closed caption.
Guys! Run! No!
Clark!
Joshua!
Jeez, the drama, man.
Yeah, man.
The level of smoothness in Riverside is not enough to do this justice.
No, I'm watching it on my own right now.
Revenge is a weapon.
Dope, though.
Yeah, man.
I sometimes wonder if I am controlling it, or if it's controlling me.
The details, the graphical details here are amazing.
Dude,
Like
like
you're
it
gonna have
looks,
to update your graphics card for this one, Jeff.
I have a PS5, sir.
You're gonna want to play this in 30 FPS.
I'm gonna play this at 60 FPS because I have a PlayStation 5. Oh, this looks beautiful.
Just all of the textures and shadows and reflections you're gonna have to give up to hit 60 FPS on a PS5 makes me sad, Jeff.
Bro, maybe I'll upgrade my shit for this. I don't know. Sorry, podcast.
No matter how bitter the truth that awaits me,
Bro, look at Ifrit. Look at
I will
Ifrit.
press on.
There's two of them.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me the exact day, Yoshi.
What do we do?
The usual.
Oh, that red and blue
13
color
years
dynamic is
I've waited
awesome.
for this chance. I will be dying today.
Come to me, Ifrit!
This is kind of nuts.
Yeah, this is insane.
They're giving this person so much money. The quality of this trailer was second to none.
June 22nd. June 22nd. Here we go. Nobody talk to me.
Oh, it's a PS5 exclusive anyway.
Oh, that's only for like 6 months.
Please welcome the director of Hazelight Studios and last year's Game of the Year winner for X2.
All right, so now we're done with Final Fantasy, huh?
Yeah. It was good. This was everything I needed. Thank you.
Cool. You're right. It totally is like an Oscars type thing. Very interesting.
It's literally like, and none of it, I really don't think that like, it's got to be maybe like 20% of the viewership is here for the Game Awards, and then 80% is literally just like, please show the next trailer.
Yeah, that's interesting. That game is probably going to be an RPG only, right?
Yeah, that one's going to be, that's their new, like, the new and like the main series. So that's going to be the single player, like the whole thing. But I'm
Got it. The new Final Fantasy 15, basically.
Yeah.
All right. I'll try to get into it. All right.
I
into
really think if you let yourself, you could you could really get in there.
Let's see there. Oh, I hate how you can't put a freaking link to your stream in Discord. Why doesn't Discord think www.twitch.tv/Brada is a link? Please. There we go. Sent it. Okay. So I'm excited. I'm excited that you're excited. I mean, that game is definitely going to push the envelope graphically. You can already tell.
Yeah,
you know?
it looks.
And so the developers are going to do endless hours of optimizations to make that run beautifully on the PS5, but it's going to be something else on a high-end PC.
It's okay to admit that the PS5 is a good console.
It is.
It's a good machine.
Straight up. The PS5 is like roughly equivalent to like a 2070 Super, dude. Like it's very high-end.
Yeah.
It's becoming a little bit dated, but it's
Yeah.
still
I'll
very
have to
good.
buy the Pro when it comes out, but that's fine.
Are they really going to do a Pro?
Probably. I mean,
Everybody's expecting it, but I'm not really seeing rumors of it.
I wouldn't say next year. I would say it's probably going to be a longer cycle than the PS4 and PS4 Pro probably was, just because
They went to another level with the PS5, I think.
they went to another level. There was already, like, right off the cuff, they had so many, like there was so much, what's the word I'm looking for? Like manufacturing, like missing, like shortages and stuff like that. Well, how am I not knowing the term for this? Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Supply chain?
Supply chain, that's what it is. There it is.
I got you.
We'll get there. Yeah, thanks, man. But yeah, so I feel like they'll probably just have a slower cycle in general. But
Okay.
like, also because of the hardware demand of the PS5, I feel like would hopefully take longer. I hope, but I guess it's already been like almost 2 years since the PS5's been out. So
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm really interested in the PS5 Pro because, Sony works with AMD to get basically what's called semi-custom. They use kind of
Interesting.
different AMD graphics and CPUs, and they put them together into a small, cheaper package, which is why the console can be cheaper and more efficient and stuff like that. It's an all-integrated system using a lot of the same technology. Consoles are really kind of an engineering feat, honestly. I really like that. And the competition between Xbox and Sony, even though they're both using semi-custom AMD hardware, kind of showcases who's better at predicting what they're going to need. Because, the
How do you
Xbox
mean?
One X has kind of been a little bit of a disappointment on the storage speed side.
interesting. I did not
That's
know
something
that.
that the PS5 did, and they were advertising this to all the hardware geeks before it came out, right? Their storage is vastly superior. So
I'm gonna pocket this and use it to leverage, because both of my console friends that I play a lot of games with, they're super bummed because obviously we've been getting PS5, like PlayStation, for years and years, and now Microsoft acquired Bethesda, and they're both huge Elder Scrolls fans. But the new one is only coming out on Xbox. So they've been, for like a year now, we've been talking about how we're eventually going to have to buy our like $600 Elder Scrolls machines soon to finally play this game.
oh man, the
And
exclusive
so,
thing is such
yeah.
an interesting topic.
It's so lame, dude. But it'll be... Yeah, it'll be
Graphically,
an
they're very
interesting time,
similar, but
I'm-
the PS5 has an advantage on the storage speed side for sure.
I mean, yeah, I do. I do like. I switch between games really fast. I used to on PS4. On the PS4, if you launched like the Call of Duty Modern Warfare game, if you launched it, your PS4 stopped functioning for like 6 minutes. It was one
that.
of the most like heinous experiences you
I
can
love
have.
that, man. Why does that even happen?
I don't know, dude.
Well, I mean, that's one of the biggest upgrades, right? Like
Yeah.
graphically, it's much better, right? Multiple times better. But on the storage side, there's no comparison between this NVMe class stuff that Microsoft is using and this customized, even higher throughput thing that Sony designed. Like it's awesome. It's awesome stuff. So, I mean, you can. The only problem with that is that consoles are starting to look like specialized computers, and like the operating system for the console is even starting to resemble operating systems like computers. So, like, what's going to happen in the long run?
We're
I don't know,
horseshoeing like
but-
pretty hard.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what can
So
you do?
I don't know, but it's going to be. It's going to be it's going to be interesting either way. And as hardware gets better and the experiences get more immersive, everybody's happy, right? Whether it's console or PC, it's like people are like having these awesome experiences. Like, I think we're finally coming up on the age of like augmented reality actually being legit, right? You saw the latest.
we can have
you saw
some-
the latest Oculus or Meta. I hate calling them Meta. The latest Rift, the Rift Pro or whatever, the black one. That's like $3,000.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it, but like,
It's pretty small.
I feel like the hardware, not even the hardware, the design for like AR and VR stuff is looking great. The hardware strength is not there, and what seems to be the like development strength, I guess, is also not there. Maybe, I don't know. If I'm sure it's a very complicated like engine to work in, like with what you're trying to do, mapping things live in that way and stuff. But yeah, I think it'll be a little bit until I until I actually think about investing in any of those pieces of equipment. But
Yeah, the Quest 2, for example, was like a high-end Android phone from a few years ago. That's what the hardware basically was, right? And so, you're not going to do a lot with that. But we need to miniaturize very powerful hardware so that you can make photorealistic experiences. So we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. And I think we'll be closer in the coming years than we have been so far. But let's jump back to our topic.
let's do it.
That was a good tangent. We should talk more about that in a future episode.
But
build your own pros. Why would you want to build your own computer? Number one, you know the quality of everything.
Number two, this is just a quick.
That's a given.
Despite it all, even having a PS5, I still use my arguably weaker computer more to play games.
I mean, if you have a good setup, it's good, right? It's a good experience. So, number two, you understand the build quality. You know exactly how well put together the machine is. You know what the strengths are. You know that the cooling system is optimized, for example, right? And lastly, perhaps most importantly, and why I think a lot of people try to drive this, is that it's usually better value. You might not get the cheapest computer, but you can get better performance for your money, or more out of the parts. Right, so what do I mean by that? You're not going to have the bloatware, number one. Mm-hmm. So if you buy an RTX 3060, you're going to get RTX 3060 performance and not something less, right? As long as, you set it up correctly. But, that's, and people, they also like to say that, it's like Legos. That's a drastic oversimplification, right? Things only fit one way, but there is definitely a lot to know about it to be reliably good at building. But there are a lot of powerful pros for building your own if you're willing to do it. Not everybody's willing to do it, and that's okay, right? For example, would you want to try to build a computer from scratch today, even with your upgrade experience?
Me? Absolutely not. Listen, number one, when I take off this glass side panel, I can tell you for one, not at all like Legos. Whoever said that is a fool. Number two, I can take out the RAM. One. I can switch out the CPU. I don't want to touch the motherboard. I fear it.
Arguably the hardest one is the processor.
Really?
So you did the hard one.
All right, cool. Well, look at me. Yeah, okay, guys. Yeah, maybe I could build one. Yeah, whatever. Let's do it.
All right, cool. He's in. Just like that, our newest convert.
Yeah, perfect.
But I think a happy medium is something that you alluded to at the beginning of this episode, right? If you have a trusted person that is well-versed and can build for you, there's a lot of value there. Oftentimes, all you got to do is go to your local gamer group on Facebook. You'll find that person because they are constantly selling computers.
Obviously. Do some screening, of course, because the first dude you roll up to on Facebook may not build you the most reliable computer. But
yes, that's great advice. What I mean is become a member of that group, of the Gamers and Geeks Classified group, for a couple months, and you'll see certain names come up over and over. And you'll see people saying, hey, this is our guy in this area for PCs, right? And then you can start to think, if I want somebody to build me a custom machine, that's probably who I want to approach, right?
Phil describing the person he's trying to be in his area.
That's actually not true. That area is definitely monopolized by someone else, and I'm just trying to be a value add, right? I definitely
of course.
Answer questions about PC hardware, and I'll DM people and give them suggestions on what to do, but there are very entrenched people in the community where I am, and they are very highly regarded by a lot of people, and
that's good.
That's fine.
It's good to supplementing is good.
So given all the things we've talked about, Jeff, what are some of the most what were the biggest themes that stuck out to you? And if you had to choose today, would you buy or build?
Oh, I would. Even if we hadn't had this discussion, I would build every time, simply because one, there are so many, you just shouldn't trust yourself to make that purchase. Don't purchase a pre-built. You're going to get it wrong somehow. I promise you. it's better. Like,
That's interesting.
being able to just catalog it all, knowing what pieces you have. There's so many tools now that you can use to just like you have PC Part Picker. You can use, like, can you run it for things to find parts, to like know specifically, like, even if you don't have someone that you trust, if you are willing to put in like an hour or two to learn what you need to learn and just use these things to put things together, and like you can probably build something successfully. Yeah, you might want to double check some compatibility stuff that you might never ever think about, but odds are that you're not going to run into that, more than likely. And so, yeah.
Well, PC Part Picker is actually trying to give you, has compatibility filters built in and that are pretty robust. Like, if you put a motherboard in your PC Part Picker list, it will only show you CPUs that can go into that motherboard. Will they work 100% of the time? Not always, right? There can be BIOS issues and things like that. But I mean, that's a great point. That's a great point. I feel like I put you on the spot to choose between buy versus build. And, you know, what I would do is I would find that trusted person and have them either help me build, teach me how to build, or I would pay them to build it for me, right? Where I can have a lot more control of what's going on and have them help me understand, you know?
I do. And I think that it's definitely the best path. And like, I don't know. Yeah, I like having you as my personal tech support. It's rad.
It works. It works out, right? And people like me, we like to be the tech support, right? We like, you know, because, you know, from where I'm sitting, it's like, hey, I understand this stuff really, really well, right? I've been doing it for a long time now, and I like to see people having awesome gaming experiences, right? That's fulfilling, directly fulfilling for me. It's like, hey, thank you so much. My computer runs so smoothly. Yeah. That's the warm, fuzzy moment for me. It's like, I have an idea of how fun that is for that person. And so, you know, we like to do it. If you find that person, they will like to help you. And they won't necessarily be very extractive about it either, right? So I think that's definitely the way to go. If you don't want to learn how to build, the trusted person I would advocate for 100% of the time over buying pre-built. Now, that said.
Every single time.
That said.
I want to be... The tools are there if you don't have that person as well, is kind of what I wanted to highlight.
There's some great guides on YouTube. PC Part Picker is a great tool.
It's just, even if you have someone that will build it for you, bro, outsource into oblivion. Like, never do your own work. Are you kidding me, man? Come on now.
I mean, tough to argue with that.
Yeah.
But I did want to say, on the pre-built side, you know, if you're going to buy a pre-built, do some research. Right?
Do a lot of research.
Ask somebody who knows something about pre-builts. You know,
and if you ask somebody, listen to them.
You do not always get what you pay for if you buy a pre-built. One of the most impactful videos that I've seen recently is a Gamers Nexus video where he went and purchased a $5,000 Alienware computer. Okay, They went and dropped $5,000 on the Alienware computer, and then they tested it. What did they learn? They learned some incredibly disappointing things that will probably surprise no one. Dell did not want to redesign the case to accommodate for the high power hardware. So what they did instead is they paid mechanical engineers to figure out a way to rig it all up so it would still work, kind of. And then they put on a i9 12900K, a CPU that uses over 200 watts at load. They put a 120 millimeter liquid cooler. Okay, 120 millimeter liquid cooler. You may not know what that means, but
it seems small.
By default, the best liquid coolers on the market are 360. So they have 3 120 millimeter fans.
Okay.
A 120 millimeter liquid cooler is just straight up low end. There's no way to make it good because you have a small surface area for the radiator and a fan blowing through a small surface area instead of a big surface area and multiple fans, right? So what happened? That i9 12900K basically performed like an i7. So
perfect.
You spent an extra $2,000 for nothing, right? And what blew my mind is that Dell actually manually changed the boost duration. So Intel CPUs, they have the speed that they can reach, right? And there's a certain window of time that they can run at that speed without coming back down. Dell manually shortened that window. So they actually downclocked the i9. So they were selling a computer that they knew could not run at the advertised speed for $5,000. And
so guys, please build. Please just build.
The moral of the story is like, doing a little bit of research can help you understand things like, hey, a 120 millimeter liquid cooler on an i9 is not going to work, right? It's just not going to work. Either it runs super hot and my hardware doesn't last very long, or they manually downclock it and it's not as good, right? It's honestly a tragedy that chip was limited in that way. Like, what a waste. A high-end gaming chip was just totally limited by that. So that kind of thing is a bummer. However, there are other pre-built companies out there that have much better reputations, right? Somebody like an NZXT will build a very solid computer.
That's true. That's fair.
Main Gear has a solid reputation, right? Your CyberPower PCs and your iBuyPowers can definitely be a little bit more sketchy. The sketchiest of them all, though, are the OEMs, right? The Dells, the HPs, the Lenovos, where they're mass producing things and, deliberately selling you something that's not intended to perform,
Guys,
like a custom built PC.
Basically, don't buy a gaming PC from the people that your parents bought a computer from.
I mean, there's a lot to be said about that.
Look.
And I think there were millions of views on that Alienware video from Gamers Nexus. Like, is Dell going to fix it? I don't know. But consider the incentives, right? If the company's really trying to get you a quality gaming experience, you're probably going to have a much better time. If the company is just trying to leverage a brand to make as much money as possible, which is essentially what's happening with Alienware, right? They were their own brand. They built up a lot of respect. In fact, 2 days ago, I was talking to a 15-year-old. Right? We're talking about a young kid now. And they were like, man, Alienwares are so fast. And I was like, wow, the brand power is still there,
I mean, me growing up, when I wanted a computer, when I was trying to play like Final Fantasy 14 back before they hit the big reset on it, I was begging my parents for an Alienware.
Yeah. I mean, and they deserve the respect because they had some of the best gaming computers at the time. But after their acquisition by Dell, they've definitely taken a turn for the worse, right? And unless you're researching and watching in-depth reviews of the computers, you really don't know, right?
Yeah.
You really don't know.
It's not ideal.
So, my advice would be find your trusted builder in the community, even if you're not looking for a computer now. That adds tremendous value to your gaming career over the long haul.
Find your trusted builder or become your trusted builder. That is
exactly
the best way.
That's another great way to look at it. There's lots of people out there who will help you become your own builder, for sure. And then, whenever you want to upgrade, you can. Whenever you want to swap things out, you can. You will never have a bad gaming experience again if you become that person.
Yeah.
So, I think that kind of sort of wraps us up for tonight. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want the audience to know today, Jeff? I feel like you definitely hit the one-liner with "Don't buy a computer from the people your parents bought computers from."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think that probably sums it up. I'd say, but also, buy Final Fantasy 16 in June of 2023, or
support Final Fantasy and indirectly support Jeff.
Yes, support my heart and my soul.
Hey, just want to congratulate Jeff for getting a job in gaming, by the way.
It's true.
You don't have to disclose a lot about what's going on, but I think that's big news, and we want to. I want to celebrate that.
I was watching on my phone, and I was talking to Reed next to me, and I was like, dude, it's watching this right now is honestly, it feels very cool to feel like, hey, this is a possibility for me now, I'm in
That's
the
what
door.
I'm freaking talking about.
It's an exciting moment. I'm feeling it. It's a tight emotion. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, this has been an awesome episode. We'll try to hit you back next week. We've got a couple topics coming up, and join our Discord, which is really just part of my streamer Discord currently. But
it was also a good time.
We are looking for topics to research and talk about. Right? If you have anything you want us to research in gaming or PC hardware or some combination of the two, that's what we're about. So thanks for watching Upgrade Pls, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah, see everybody. Hugs and kisses.